Well, believe it or not, we are already halfway through the season. Round 2 of the Formula Regional Oceania Championship has been wrapped up. Round 2 of 4, don't forget this is a quick series, 4 weekends, 4 rounds, 15 races. This weekend we went south from Hampton down to the Taupō Motorsport Park, and it shaped up to be an interesting one for the championship, depending on how you look at things. But if you like this review and you want to see more CT Sprott reviews, give a like and a subscribe. The support would always be very much appreciated. I will try and review the other 2 rounds. The last round might be out a wee bit later because I've got other commitments on that weekend, but I will still review it. So anyway, the Taupō Motorsport Park, it has for the longest time been a club circuit. Opened in 1959, so it's one of New Zealand's oldest tracks. It got a major renovation in the mid-2000s for the A1 Grand Prix. It went from 1.3 kilometres circuit to a 3.5 kilometre circuit. A couple of years later that got extended down, and it not only hosted A1 Grand Prix, but it currently hosts one of the 2 New Zealand rounds of the Supercars Championship. And this weekend also doubled as the Taupō Historic GP, so there was a lot of cool old cars racing around, including Formula Atlantics and old touring cars, but this is about Formula Regional. So how did that weekend go? Well, it would start off quite good for Ryan Wood. He would start off on pole position alongside the championship leader Ugo Ugochukwu. And Ryan Wood would use that pole position to get the lead off lap 1, turn 1. It would be a bit of a battle at the front of the pack between him, Ugochukwu, Zach Skula, and Freddie Slater. This race had a lot of good battles. Taupō can give itself some good battles because of the flow of the track, and there was a good fight out the front and a good mid-pack battle as well from like 10th to 17th. Zach Skula, this is the start of what became a bit of a roller coaster of a weekend because he kept finding a flat spot on one of his tyres, and that resulted in Freddie Slater getting past him, and he would end up slowly falling behind Freddie. But there'd be no issues for Ryan Wood. He would follow in the same footsteps as Shane Van Gisbergen and Will Brown and be an active supercars driver to win in Formula Regional Oceania. And here is the rest of the results. Ugochukwu would get 2nd, Slater would get 3rd, and this being the first race, Kanato Lee, he would get pole for the 2nd race with Ernesto Rivera starting alongside him. But it wouldn't be one of those 2 drivers being the highlight of race 2. It would be James Wharton. The Australian driver would take the lead of the 2nd race on lap 7 after starting on the 2nd row. This is going to be a trend for race 2 because it's worth less points. The guys that are further down the back are able to sort of sacrifice this race to try and get a good starting spot for the final, or for the 3rd race, sorry, because the 3rd race is sorted out by the 2 times, or the fastest lap from the 2 races in the 1st and 2nd race, and they sort of did that, a few guys did do that towards the middle of this race, because you had the likes of Sebastian Manson and Fionn McLaughlin come in, but James Wharton would start to pull away a bit, and Kanato Lee would sort of become the cork in the bottle for everyone behind him, and it would sort of start a bit of a train going on. There was a big moment down the end of the straight. Jin Nakamura would come into shot off the on the grass on the inside and end up losing his front wing after a battle with Freddie Slater. Slater himself would get a 5-second time penalty for contact with Zach Skula. Skula would end up dropping down this order quite quickly, and he would be one of those guys that would pit for fresh rubber, hoping to get a good starting spot. Even with the reverse top 8, that wouldn't deter Ugochukwu. He would race up to and pass some of these guys and get up to Ernesto Rivera in 2nd position and actually pass him. Well, I say pass him, he would try to pass him. Rivera would manage to hold on to that position, but it would be James Wharton that would end up taking the checkered flag for the 2nd race. Would not only be his first race win, but also TJ Speed with HMD Motorsport's first win. So it was a cool occasion for the Australian driver and the Australian/American team. Zak Skula, using that pit stop strategy, would use that to his full set of advantages because he'd be starting on pole for race 3 alongside Freddie Slater. Another guy that took that to his advantage was Theo McLaughlin, who was starting in 6th, the Red Bull Junior driver, but he got muscled out quite massively at the start of that race. There'd be a tight battle mid-pack where Ernesto Rivera and Kanato Lee would make contact at the end of turn 1, and that would cause Kanato Lee to be the one to lose out of all that. Sebastian Manson had a race to forget. Not only did he end up getting spun, but he also ended up spinning Ricardo Baptista, so he would end up getting a drive-through penalty for that action. But the big story of the race was Ugo Ugochukwu would make his first mistake of the CT Frot series. He would end up going off the road, either turn 11 or 12. They weren't really too clear on that, and he would end up dropping down to 15th. This race he would end up finishing 12th, which was his first outside the top 10 finish in the series after 7 races. Again, it was another race of great mid-pack battling from like 7th to 15th in various parts of this race. Unfortunately, Yang Pu Chui would end up having his race finished with a left rear failure. I couldn't tell if it was either tyres or the suspension failing, but it would end up costing him in the end. But Zak Skula would end up going back up the roller coaster of this weekend to win the 3rd race of the weekend and being the 2nd repeat winner of the series. Slater managed to get another podium in 2nd, and Ryan Wood managed to get on the podium as well with a 3rd position. Race 4, this would be 5 extra laps for the Denny Hulme Memorial Trophy, and it would be a surprise pole sitter from earlier on in that morning. It would be Jack Taylor, the Giles Motorsport driver who missed last week's feature race because of a nut anaphylactic reaction. He ended up getting pole position for this race, which was his best starting spot for, well, I don't think he even got a top 10 starting spot in any of the races beforehand. But it would be Ryan Wood starting alongside him that would end up getting the best of the starts. He would rocket to the lead of the race quite comfortably. There would be an issue for James Wharton, who went off at turn 11. He's also going to miss the next round at Terotonga for next weekend. He has testing commitments for the FIA Formula 3 series, so whether or not they find a replacement driver or they just have 18 cars on the grid, I don't know. Ugochukwu had a poor qualifying outside the top 10 for this race, but being the hard charger that he is, he would make up spots quite quickly and also quite cleanly. This was a race to forget for Freddie Slater. He came into this race 2nd in the points, but he would go off on 2 different occasions at the same corner, turn 11, which caught out a lot of people at the time. At the same time as Freddie was having his issue, his teammate Ernesto Rivera was having some issues at that corner as well. Zak Skula would end up getting alongside him on the straight, and they would make quite awkward contact going down to the chicane in the turn 12, 13 and 14 complex. This would cause Zak Skula to retire on the spot and cause the safety car to come out. Lap 17 would be when the safety car would come back in. Jack Taylor and Neil Van David were investigated for weaving underneath the safety car. I don't know at this time of recording what the investigation was or the result of that was. If there was some sort of result, I'll either put it in the video if it's before I've finished editing, or put it in the comments if the result has been found out after I have uploaded it. And the not weaving under safety car thing is a weird, really exclusively Australasian rule. If you are a watcher of the Bathurst 12 Hour, you'd notice that a lot of people have been pinged for that specific rule in the past. It's such a weird regional exclusive rule that really catches out a lot of international drivers. Speaking of Jack Taylor, he would be in a good battle with Ugo Ugochukwu after the safety car restart. This shows that he really has the muscle to fight with the championship leaders in the championship. He just needed a good starting spot to prove that potential that Jack Taylor has, and he had a pretty good race finishing inside the top 10. But it would end up being Ryan Wood getting his second race win of the season, the second race win of his weekend, and the Denny Hulme Memorial Trophy, a special trophy to win for any Kiwi driver. Another podium would go Kanato Lee's way. I think this is his fourth podium, and Louis Sharp, after quite a quiet but consistent weekend, finishing mainly in the top 5, would get some silverware to finish off the weekend. And who really stood out this weekend when it came to who did well and who didn't really? Obviously, you had your standout drivers with Ugo Ugochukwu. He got 2 podiums this weekend. Yes, none of them were wins, but that standout charge in the last race, going from like 12th to 4th or 5th, was a very good one. You had Ryan Wood bouncing back from the poor first round that he had, where he was outside the top 10 in points, and we'll look at the top 5 in points later, but spoiler alert, he is somewhere on that list. And it was good seeing TJ Speed with H&D Motorsports get their first win in this series as well, before Hi-Tech managed to get a win. Speaking of Hi-Tech, their drivers Kanato Lee and Jin Nakamura really fell off the wagon compared to Ugo Ugochukwu when it comes to hunting down for this championship. Same with Freddie Slater and Zach Schooler. All these 4 drivers either didn't have the pace to keep up with the young American, or they had the pace but not the consistency, especially when it came with Schooler and Slater. And some of the guys down the back that just had good top 10 results. The 2 Giles Motorsport guys of Jack Taylor and Nolan Alea, they had good results as well. Ricardo Baptista managed to get a top 10 in one of those races, and Kelly Rovanpera managed to finish in 10th position for that second race. Anya Van David managed to get Kiwi Motorsport a few top 10s as well. But as we look in the points, 2nd through 5th, very close, only 9 points between the 4 drivers. Don't look at first place if you want to look for a tight, close championship. There being nearly 45 points ahead of second place Louis Sharp, Ugo Ugochukwu's got this one quite sorted already. It will take for him to have a Jin Nakamura-like weekend where he was running 6th or 8th for the whole weekend for Louis Sharp to really catch up. Well, Louis Sharp and Freddie Slater, that is. Well, Louis Sharp and Kanato Lee, that is. Jin Nakamura and Ryan Wood, who was the recovery man of the weekend, they are also in the hunt for second place. But like I said, it's going to take a DNF from Ugo or just a poor weekend in general for them to catch up to him before this championship is over, because contrary to popular belief, we're already halfway there. We've got 7 races left before this thing is over and done with, so if they want to catch up to Ugochukwu, they're going to have to do it quite quickly, or it's going to be, quite coincidentally, the 3rd year in a row that the number 4 car has won the championship, because it was Roman Belinsky, then it was Arvid Lindblad, and now Ugo is driving that car himself. But that is the recap of round 2 done. Round 3, they'll be heading to the South Island for the Teretonga Park round. And if you like this video and you want to see more CT Frock content, or just content from me in general, give a like and subscribe. The support is very much appreciated. And check out these 2 videos beside me. I'm going to put some random videos there, or maybe even my last video that I did. And I'll see you in the next video though, whatever one that may be.